It is an honor to welcome you to Bristol Community College's 2025 Veterans Day ceremony and lunch. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to see so many veterans, family members, and citizens gathered here in front of me. We make community wherever we go. Your simple presence here this morning moves me. We are very proud that the college's Veterans Day event has been designated a regional host site for the 2025 Veterans Day National Committee by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you. This is one of 2 host sites in Massachusetts and the only one in southern New England. To my knowledge, this is the only VA regional host site in 2025 at an institution of higher learning. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the color guard provided by the 1st Military District and the Southern Veteran Reserves, as well as the plan of national. Veterans may render the hand salute, while others are asked to cover their heart with their right hands until the last note is played. Thank you. You all might take a seat. Thank you all. I would now like to introduce our first guest speaker, Justin Sue, to provide remarks. Justin is a retired Navy officer and a former naval flight officer with 20 years of distinguished service, including flying and ground combat deployments to Iraq. He piloted F-14 Tomcat and F-18F Super Hornets, and later taught operational planning and strategy at the U.S. Naval War College. He is also the founder of the Rhode Island Veterans Network, a statewide organization that serves veterans in Rhode Island and South Coast Massachusetts, connecting veterans with community, opportunity, and purpose. Justin remains deeply committed to supporting veterans and strengthening the communities they call home. Please welcome Justin Sue.
Thanks. Morning, everyone. Before I begin, I'd like to recognize our distinguished guests joining us this morning. Dr. Harris, President of Bristol Community College, Senator Rodriguez, representing the 1st Bristol and Plymouth District, Representative Sylvia, representing the 7th Bristol District, Representative Fiola, representing the 6th Bristol District, Mayor Coogan, and Director Connell from the VA Providence Healthcare System. Thank you all for being here and for your continued leadership and support for our veterans and families. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the veterans and military families here with us today. Your service, sacrifice, and strength continue to inspire this community and our nation. It's an honor to be here at Bristol Community College this Veterans Day, a day when we come together as a community to recognize all that have worn the uniform and to reflect on how their service continues to shape and strengthen our country long after their time in the military ends. As I thought about what this day means, my mind went back to the last day I took off the uniform. When I retired 20 years ago from the Navy, I was proud of my career, but I also knew the next chapter would bring new challenges. Like many of you who served, I went from an environment where teamwork and purpose were woven into every day, whether you were part of a squadron, a platoon, or a ship, to a world where that structure and shared sense of mission were suddenly gone. Even though I'd spent over a year preparing for my transition, updating resumes, networking, applying for jobs, it still took me 6 months after I retired to land the right one. That was humbling, but it wasn't the delay that stood out to me. It was what came after. Once I settled into my new civilian job, I realized something was missing. The work was interesting, the people were talented, but didn't carry the same sense of mission I'd known in the military. That feeling that every day you're part of something bigger than yourself. That realization stayed with me, and it's something I now tell every transitioning service member. Your job in the military gave you a sense of purpose that you're probably not going to find in a civilian job, and that's okay. You just need to find purpose in new ways. For me, that purpose came from staying connected with our veterans, helping them navigate the same challenges I faced. I saw how valuable it was to have people who understood, who had been there, who spoke the same language, who could help translate military experience into civilian success. That desire to give back led me to start organizing informal evening meetups for local veterans. What began as a single gathering quickly became standing monthly socials where veterans come together to share experiences, opportunities, and support one another. Those gatherings quickly became more than events. They became a community. Veterans helping veterans, rediscovering the camaraderie they'd missed and realizing they weren't walking this road alone. Because that's what it's really all about, connection and purpose. The military gives us both automatically. We wake up every day with a mission and a team depending on us, but civilian life rarely comes with that kind of built-in clarity. But the ability to find meaning, to lead, to serve, that never leaves us. It just takes a new form. Purpose after the military doesn't have to mean starting an organization or starting a big project. It can be as simple as mentoring a fellow veteran, volunteering in your community, or supporting a cause that matters to you. Every time you step forward to help someone else, you're continuing your service in a new way. That mindset helped me adjust when I began my civilian career. I didn't have all the answers, and the environment was different. But I knew how to listen, how to take ownership, how to make things better for the team. Those same fundamentals, teamwork, adaptability, service before self, are what make veterans so valuable in any field. We're also gathering here today at a meaningful point in our nation's history. Next year marks America's 250th anniversary, and this year marks 160 years since the end of the Civil War. Those milestones remind us that every generation has faced its own test, moments when citizens step forward to protect and strengthen our democracy. Veterans are the living bridge across that history. From the Revolution to today, they remind us that freedom endures not just through the defense of it, but through the continued contributions of those that have served. And that's the essence of Veterans Day. Not only about reflecting, it's not about reflecting what was done in uniform. It's about honoring how veterans continue to lead and serve in their communities, workplaces, and families. Service doesn't stop at separation, it evolves. From defending our nation to strengthening our neighborhoods, our workplaces, and our communities. And that's where I want to leave you here with today. If you've served, keep finding ways to serve. Stay connected. Look out for one another. Find purpose not in just what you do, but in the difference you make for others. If you're part of the broader community, a family member, an employer, a friend, stay engaged with the veterans around you. Listen to their stories. Invite them to be part of your networks. Sometimes connection is the most powerful form of gratitude. Next year, as our nation celebrates 250 years, we'll be reminded that democracy is never finished. It depends on each generation to preserve it and pass it on stronger than before. Veterans understand that better than anyone because they've lived it. So on Veterans Day, I want to thank every veteran here for your service, your leadership, and the example you continue to set. And just as importantly, I want to thank the families of those veterans, the spouses, the parents, the children, the loved ones, who served alongside them in ways that are often unseen but deeply felt. Your support makes every mission, every transition, and every success possible. Together, we keep the spirit of service alive. Thank you, and happy Veterans Day.
Thank you very much, Justin. That was amazing. I would now like to introduce today's second guest speaker. Dan Goulart served with distinction in the U.S. Navy SEAL teams for over 30 years, including combat tours to Iraq and Afghanistan. His service earned him numerous honors, including the Navy and Marine Corps Life-Saving Medal, the Bronze Star with V Device for Valor. After retiring in 2017, Dan continued to serve by mentoring future special warfare candidates and volunteering with local nonprofits. Today, after pursuing a path in environmental sustainability, Dan leads coastal resilience and habitat restoration efforts across New England as a coastal project manager with the Nature Conservancy. Please welcome Dan Goulart. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks for having me, guys. I'm not going to repeat all the distinguished guests, but thanks to all the distinguished people who've showed up today to honor us on Veterans Day. I have a sort of a short essay about my experience transitioning from the military and my quest to find purpose in life. It's entitled, "Run to the Sound of Gunfire." This iconic phrase symbolizes the selflessness, camaraderie, and sense of purpose we all felt when we served. But how do we translate that into something that lets us live a purpose-driven life after separation or retirement? Like many of you, I struggled with this question. And despite a job that paid really well, a great family, being financially secure, there was just something missing in my life. I had a deep desire to do something that mattered, to make a difference, to help my community be a better place, but I just couldn't quite put my finger on what that was. One day I was out on a trail run in Dartmouth, Mass. Came across a sign for a regenerative farm. It piqued my interest, so I wandered in and talked to a few people. What I found was a place that grew lots of food, and they did it in a really traditional way, not using machinery, everything by hand, no chemicals. But the most amazing thing about this place was the fact that when they were done at the end of the growing season, they gave it all away to communities in need throughout southeastern Massachusetts. I ended up taking the following summer off from school to volunteer on that farm, getting to know the people, their mission, and learning to respect their passion for service. It was an epiphany moment for me. Run to the sound of gunfire. It really meant run to the sound of suffering, run to the sound of need, run to the sound of your community. That summer fed a hunger that had been growing in me for a long time, and that hunger was purpose. And it taught me you're not going to find purpose sitting on the couch watching CNN or Fox News, or doom scrolling on your phone, or even just making a lot of money. Most of us sitting in the room today just aren't programmed that way, and a self-centered life is really never going to be enough. Just like we fought for the guy standing next to us in the combat zones, fighting for our neighbors and our community can and should be a new sense of purpose for veterans. I challenge everybody I talk to do a little research and get out in your community to connect with a cause that resonates with you. My summer at Round the Bend sparked a whole second career for me, environmental conservation. When I saw people in my hometown of New Bedford suffering from pollution and the impacts of climate change, I knew I found my new mission in life. From that day forward, I set out to arm myself with the knowledge that I would need to make that mission successful. It wasn't easy, but thanks to support from my family and the VA, I squeaked my way through a master's degree. Over the next months, I took a lot of time to get out and volunteer with local nonprofits that were doing the kind of work I wanted to get involved in. I volunteered with the City of New Bedford. I volunteered with the Buzzards Bay Coalition. I volunteered with the Buzzards Bay National Estuary Program and just stayed humble. In less than a year, I was hired as a clean water project manager and worked on multiple projects around New Bedford, which was really gratifying. After 3 years working in that community, I took an opportunity with the Nature Conservancy and now work across New England, engaging communities to restore coastal habitat and build coastal resilience. I found my purpose in environmental conservation. Find yours in whatever gives you that same passion. Get out in your community and connect with people doing good work. Run to the sound of suffering. Run to the sound of need. Run to the sound of your community. Run to the sound of gunfire. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, to mark the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, I will read a brief historic telegram followed by a simulated artillery barrage. Please brace yourself for loud explosions outside. This morning, at 05:45 hours, the G3 section of American Expeditionary Forces received the following wireless message. Line 1, hostilities will cease on the entire front beginning at 11 a.m. French time, November 11th. Line 2, the Allied troops will not pass the line reached at that date, at that hour, without a new order. Signed, Field Marshal Ferdinand Foch, Supreme Allied Commander of the Western Front. The concluding paragraph for the November 11th, 1918, from the regimental history of the 103rd Field Artillery Regiment, 26th Infantry Division. The World War ended with the infantry attacking Gremley Hill, 265, and the 103rd madly striving loose to every shell at hand at the gun positions in the general direction of Germany at 10:59. With every man and officer pulling on the lanyards, the last rounds were fired. The Meuse-Argonne offense was over. La guerre est finie. The war is over. Taps. It is now my honor to welcome the 5th president of Bristol Community College, a leader who brings professional experience and a personal connection to the college's mission. With nearly 30 years in higher education, Dr. Sedgwick Harris has dedicated his career in higher education to expanding equity, opportunity, and support for students. As a community college graduate, he brings a lived understanding of the challenges our students face and the doors that education can open. Dr. Harris is student-focused and student-centered, leading with clarity, compassion, and a focus for removing barriers to student success. Please welcome Dr. Sedgwick L. Harris.
Thank you. I had to look at my watch to make sure it's still morning. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this momentous occasion. It is an opportunity for us here at Bristol to celebrate a group of individuals who made a difference in all of our lives. And making a difference is what matters. What matters here in the United States of America, and is truly what matters here at Bristol Community College. I'm going to be really brief in welcoming once again and thanking our elected officials for being here, but once again wanting to recognize the many that are here today. I know earlier there was a recognition, but now joining us is Senator Mike Rodrigues. Once again, Representative Al Silva, Representative Carol Fiola, as well as our mayor here in Fall River, Paul Coogan. I think Paul's still here. So I'd like to take this once again, this opportunity to recognize someone who has also dedicated themselves, the efforts that they've shown here at the college to our veteran community has been truly exceptional. You've heard him this morning. You've heard him throughout the years of his work and dedication here. Our students are really fond of all the work of Denny Cosmo. Denny is a U.S. Army veteran whose passion for empowering student veterans is evident from everything that he does. As a director of the Veterans Center, he provides a steadfast leadership and the mentorship for our military affiliate students. He has proudly served as a ranger in both the airborne and infantry and military intelligence branches of the U.S. Army from 2001 to 2010. Completing 2 tours in Iraq, his experience, integrity, and commitment to continue to shape the lives of our student veterans. In 2023, Denny was honored as the Chapter Advisor of the Year by the Student Veterans of America and the Veterans Champion of the Year by GI Jobs. These recognitions and awards to individuals for those individuals who go above and beyond to support students and veterans as well as their families. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank Denny for all the hard work and dedication that he has shown to our students as well as our college community. Could you join me in giving Denny a round of applause? Veterans Day is a time for us to take an opportunity to pause as well as reflect on the courage, the sacrifice, and the dedication of all who have served, those that we have lost, as well as the ones who are currently serving around the world to protect our freedoms. I have always been in awe of veterans. I've known throughout my life. Now, I had an opportunity to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, or the Marines coming out of high school. I was shared that information as a student that it would maybe be an opportunity for me to go to the military. But since I was in Margaret's Army, who was my mother, I chose to go to college. And through my experiences, I will tell you, I've had some great experiences, not only with my family members, but with individuals that as I entered college, provided me with steadfast leadership and opportunities to grow and learn. I started this journey of being in higher ed back in 1997, but wonderfully enough, in 2007, I was selected as the vice president at Kaskaskia College, which is a small rural community college in southern Illinois. At the time, the president was a gentleman by the name of James C. Underwood. Dr. Underwood was a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Army Infantry. He was an active reserve and a veteran of the Vietnam War. Throughout his life, he has always been a patriot, supporting our nation and serving and actively serving and participating in patriotic events. Dr. Underwood was a trainer of drill sergeants. And in many ways, I thought I went through my own training in leadership with Dr. Underwood. You see, Dr. Underwood took a brash, somewhat overconfident young man and taught him about community. He taught me about character. He taught me about courage. All these principles were taught to me to do one thing, that is in the face of adversity, to be shovel ready and always be prepared to face the things in life. I also had a young man who shared with me, I shouldn't say young man, he was my uncle, but close to home, Officer Fred Lee McMeans, also an Army veteran, a Vietnam veteran, who served 2 tours of duty before becoming injured prior to returning home as a decorated soldier. He holds a significant role in my development as a young man. He was not only my uncle, but he was the one who convinced my mother that Sedgwick would be the perfect name for her new baby boy. I owe him a deep, deep level of gratitude for all of his mentorship, his friendship, his wisdom, and the guidance that he taught me to be very important in the destination that I was looking for in my life. When I reflect back on my own family and my family of veterans, we covered the gambit. I have representatives in my family who are definitely in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. Over 15 members of my family were participated in the armed forces. Their service reminds me every day that they were called to protect and serve our country, which runs deep in our American history as well as my family history. This is why the work that we do, the work that Denny and his team does, Robin as well is part of that team, the work that's done at the Joseph J. Marshall Veteran Center means so much to me personally. It is a community of caring, supporting, and respecting of all those for giving as much as they've given. It feels deeply fitting that in my first commencement ceremony, I was able to give the diploma to Mr. Ron Cabral. I think we have a video showing the ceremony and information on Ron, if we could play that video.
My name is Ronald J. Cabral Sr. I graduated this year, and I spent 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 in the infantry and 1 as a helicopter gunship pilot. I came back after 50 years because I always wanted to get my degree, and I finally did it. I was lucky to graduate from high school. When I entered my senior year, I had 50 credits, so I had to take 6 5-credit courses just to graduate. And I did. I went and worked in the shops back then, you know, a floor boy and stuff like that. I said, that's not me. I did 1 year at Johnson & Wales, then I said, I want to go in the Army. That's what I always wanted to do. So I did. And I spent 25 years in there. And while I'm in the Army, I'm going to Yakima Valley College, Columbus College, Embry-Riddle. Wanted to make myself a better person, understand more. In 1975, I had my first child, so I needed to make a living, so to support the family. I came back to school under the GI Bill. I think I gave at least 1, maybe 2 classes. Then I got my job in the post office. So then that is when my education had ended, at least I thought. After I retired, after 21 years in the post office, I took some courses down at Fisher College. Then I decided again, I'm going to try BCC. And every professor that I was associated with, they cared. When you come here, they're going to work with you. Over here, you can get the personal touch. They're going to help you. They want you to learn. The students, they help out each other. I met the kids that are in the National Guard. I got a kid right now, I mentor, he's at the Air Force Academy, finishing his first year. It's a community, it's a community college. You're part of it. Everybody is. And that's what it's all about. Don't take 50 years like me, but go get it while you can. They're very veterans friendly. They're a valuable asset for the veteran. At one point, I said, the heck with it, but I didn't. I'm just a happy camper right now. I got my degree. And no, I'm not done yet. The University of Nebraska, Omaha, they offer a military science degree. I will be calling them. They're going to evaluate my military education, which I tell you is worth about almost 70 credits. So I'm going to ask them what time I should get my plane ticket. So I'll go there and get a bachelor's degree. I mean, I'm not applying for another job. I'm going to be 82 in a few months. But it's like, in education is something that's not wasted. Knowledge is something never wasted. I enjoyed my life. I spent 25 in the military, then 20 at the post office. I loved it. Be happy in what the heck you do, otherwise you're going to be miserable doing something you don't want to do. You know, like the Army had a saying, be all you can be, do that.
As you can see in that video, I had the pleasure of handing Ron his diploma as a retired Vietnam-era Army officer, and our oldest graduate this past May, at 81 years old, he received that diploma graciously in May. Ron's journey is a testament to resilience and dedication. Awarded the Purple Star for being wounded in action during the Vietnam War, Ron was committed to serving his country, and that defined his life. His story is an inspiring story of the power of perseverance and the importance of never giving up one's goal. I would like to invite Denny back onto the stage for a presentation.
Could I have some of the military-connected students that are currently at Bristol Community College come to the stage? Dr. Harris, the Student Veterans of America chapter at Bristol is leading on and off campus. Our military-connected students have traveled the country for leadership development opportunities, presented academic research, and lived Bristol's values. Bristol was a 2024 SVA Chapter of the Year finalist at our national conference. To commemorate our military-connected students, past, present, and future, we want to gift you this U.S. flag and certificate of authenticity to Bristol to display at the college. And I'll briefly read the certificate. The flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on 4/21/2025, which is Patriots' Day, in honor of the Student Veterans of America chapter at Bristol Community College and all Bristol veterans, past, present, and future. At the request of the Honorable Edward J. Markey, United States Senator, this flag was flown on Patriots' Day.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you this morning Representative Alan Silva. Representative Silva has devoted his life to public service. A United States Marine Corps veteran who has served during Vietnam conflict, he is a proud graduate of Bristol Community College, Northeastern University, and Salvargina University. A lifelong Fall River resident and former police detective, he has dedicated his career to protecting and uplifting our community. A strong advocate for education, he has been instrumental in securing funding for Bristol's Joseph J. Marshall Veterans Center, and supporting student veterans through expanding resources and scholarship opportunities. Since 2023, he has represented the 7th Bristol District in Massachusetts House of Representatives and continues his steadfast commitment to the people of Fall River and beyond. Please join me in welcoming Representative Al Silva.
My colleagues asked me to keep these remarks to 40 minutes. You won't be here that long. It's an honor, of course, to be here today. President Harris, distinguished veterans and guests. We gather, of course, this is Veterans Day, and to pay tribute to extraordinary individuals who have worn the uniform of our nation and armed forces. We do that to honor all veterans through both words and actions. You know, our speeches are always sincere gratitude to those who served, but to prove our genuine commitment, our actions are very important. And of course, in Massachusetts, we are second to none in providing services and benefits to veterans. I can't remember a year I served 2 terms as vice chair of the Joint Committee on Veterans Affairs. I've been representing, Dr. Harris mentioned, since 2023. I caught that. I've been serving since 2013, a few years, and two of those terms I spent representing as vice chair of the Joint Committee on Veterans Affairs. We don't miss a year in improving our benefits and services to veterans. And It's important that I recognize my colleagues, of course, Senator Rodrick and Rep. Fiola, who are always supportive of veterans issues. You know, yesterday I had the opportunity, I am the only Marine in the legislature in Massachusetts, so yesterday was our 250th birthday. Any Marines here? I know there must be a few, yes. Semper Fi, happy birthday. So yesterday, so because I was the only Marine in the legislature, the National Commandant of the Marine Corps League came, and he said, would you cut the cake with me? Of course, they had a saber. The first time I ever cut the cake with a sword, but it was a great event. But I learned when I was with the Commandant that on Friday, the mayor of Portland, Oregon, decided not to cancel all veterans events. No parade, first time ever. You know, they said it was because they didn't have the resources, but they had the resources for the National Mermaid Parade, the Drag Queen Parade, but they didn't have the resources for the Veterans Parade. Veterans Day to me is a sacred holiday because without you, without the veterans, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't exist as a nation. We'd be speaking a different language. I've been a strong advocate of the Joseph Marshall Veterans Center and a strong advocate for Denny because he does a great job. But long before the ribbon cutting was 2019 with Joe Marshall, President, and Senator Rodrick, and a number of other people. We cut that ribbon, but long before then, in the 1970s, I was an advocate for the Veterans Center. I didn't have any idea it would be called what it is today, or it would become what it is today. But seeing as Veterans Day, I want to give you a short story. What would Veterans Day be like without a story from a veteran? And but so in 1970, I went to Paris Island after I graduated from Durfee High School, and when you graduated from Paris Island, they gave you your MOS. For those of you who do not know what that is, and civilians are military occupation. You don't know what it is really, and you know, you're taking a test. Today, these days, my grandson is at Camp Lejeune right now, and he picked his MOS before he went into the military. We didn't have that. We couldn't do that. I didn't know what I was going to do until I graduated, and even then I wasn't sure what I was going to do until 3 months later, because I was a 2542. They no longer exist. I was a communicator. Long story short, I went to San Diego to communications electronics school, worked with NIS, Naval Intelligence, had a top secret clearance, and was assigned to the 1st Marine Aircraft Wing, which our forward was in Da Nang, Vietnam. Our rear was in Iwakuni, Japan. I spent most of my time underground, but every other week I would travel to a different place, which was a great job. In the midst of what was going on in Vietnam, I would travel every other week to either Subic Bay or Da Nang or to Taipei, South Korea, to deliver messages that were classified. I would stay 3 days and then fly back with other messages. We had no computers in those days. We had no cell phones. We had teletype, and the lines weren't secure. So anything that was very important, very serious, would have to be hand carried. So when I was, all the time I was preparing to be discharged in 1972, I was thinking about Bristol Community College. I was thinking about going back to school. I couldn't wait. Now, I wasn't a great high school student, but after my experiences, I couldn't wait to go back to school. I knew I wanted to do that. But, you know, Vietnam veterans weren't treated very well. We didn't have a great homecoming. We didn't have any ticker tape parades. There are a lot of issues associated with Vietnam veterans and how they were treated. So when I arrived, I knew that existed, you know, the Jane Fonda thing and the protests, but I was oblivious to that when I was overseas. It didn't affect me at all. I arrived at Treasure Island. Most military would get discharged immediately, but because I had the clearances that I had to spend 6 days at Treasure Island, San Francisco, naval base, for debriefing. when I arrived, I couldn't wait. It was the first time I had been in the United States in a year. I couldn't wait to go into town. I had never been to San Francisco. So I immediately, they gave me my bunk in the billet where I was going to be sleeping, and I threw my sea bag on the bed, and I went to the gate. And when I get to the gate, the MP said, "Marine, you can't go out with your uniform." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's what I have." He said, "Oh, we can't let you off the base with your uniform because they'll spit at you. They hate the military, especially Marines." He said, "You got to go back and change." I said, "I don't have much to change to." And in the bottom of my duffel bag, everyone knows the duffel sea bag, I had 2 civilian shirts and I think 2 pairs of pants. Well, I pulled them out, I shook them off, and I looked like, when I looked in the mirror, I looked like I had been sleeping on a park bench for about 6 days. But I did make it into San Francisco. Anyway, when I arrived, I immediately registered to come to Bristol Community College. And getting there, of course, there were no organizations to help veterans. Nothing exists. There was no Veterans Club. There was no Denny Cosmo. There was no Joe Marshall Veterans Center. There was nothing. I had to do that hit or miss. I had to try to figure that out. I remember calling the VA. I remember, thank God for the VA, to try to figure out my GI benefits, but thankfully, I made it. Today, the Veterans Center here at Bristol Community College, under the leadership of Danny Cosmo, provides veterans with the resources and services and unwavering support, a true center for excellence, receiving many accolades and awards, and well-deserved. You know, as veterans, our service doesn't end when we take off our uniform. It continues through leadership, work ethic, and the commitment to making our communities and our nation a better place. As veterans, we strengthen the fabric of our society. You bring tested leadership, proven resilience, and a deep understanding of service, not only to Bristol Community College, but to your roles in civilian life. Today, Veterans Day gives us a chance to recognize these contributions and renew our commitment to supporting veterans as they continue serving in new ways. To all our veterans, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment to our nation. May God bless you, and God bless our nation. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Representative Cilia. Lawrence B. Connell was appointed Director of the VA Providence Healthcare System in June 2020. He previously served as Veterans Health Administration's Chief of Staff and Acting Medical Center Director of the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center. A retired U.S. Army colonel with over 30 years of service, Mr. Connell has extensive experience in medical services and leadership roles. He is certified in Lean Sigma 6 Black Belt and holds degrees from the University of Rhode Island and Troy State University. Please join me in welcoming Director Lawrence B. Connell. Dr. Harris, could you also please join us at the end of Director Connell's remarks? Whoa. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it still morning or is it afternoon now? It must be afternoon. Good afternoon. Listen, following State Rep Alan Silvey is going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll see what I can do. So hopefully I'll at least keep you from falling asleep. Good morning, distinguished guests, veterans. A shout out to Dr. Harris and Denny for putting on this event and a fantastic lunch. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a nap. Anyway, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today as we honor the service and sacrifice of America's veterans. Today, we stand united in gratitude for the veterans we serve across Rhode Island and Southeast Massachusetts, each with a story of courage and commitment that continues to shape our nation. Veterans Day reminds us that freedom carries a cost, and it's through the selflessness of our service members that we enjoy the privileges of peace and democracy. So let me speak about the VA Providence healthcare system, where we say every day is Veterans Day, and it is. Our mission remains clear: to deliver world-class care to those who have borne the battle. This year, I'm happy to report that every year at Providence VA, we invest about $75 million every year in new construction or modernization of that hospital, because veterans deserve it. We've opened up a brand new ICU, a new parking garage, hemodialysis center, new mental health center, and I'm happy to report our MRI suite, which will give us 2 additional MRIs, has just been approved, which we're also going to build a brand new CBOC out in Hyannis. Now it'll be just outside the Joint Base Cape Cod gate, a brand new clinic, as well as our clinics in Middletown and New Bedford. So again, $75 million a year we invest in veterans health care. That's not a small amount. That's every year. I'm also happy to report that our patient trust scores, meaning veterans trust their care that they get at Providence, is just shy of 95%. Now, I would ask you to find an airline, a restaurant, a mechanic, or whatever trade that has 95% trust score. And that's because we have a very dedicated staff at the Providence VA to take care of our veterans. They really lean forward and believe in the mission of taking care of our veterans. For those of you who are bored to death, if you look at the CMS Hospital Compare website, Centers for Medicaid, you'll see the Providence VA is one of only 3 hospitals in the entire state of Rhode Island that has a 4-star, 4 out of 5 stars, patient satisfaction score. One of 3. So we got a little bit of work to do to get to that 5th star, and we're not going to rest on our laurels, but we're one of 3 hospitals in the entire state that has a 4-star patient satisfaction score. So these achievements, they represent more than the construction, they represent more than our investment in the future, but the health of every veteran who walks through our doors. I would like to tell you, especially our Vietnam veterans in the audience, we are not the VA of the Vietnam era. We are not that VA. This nation owes you a debt of gratitude. You were really treated poorly when you came back from Vietnam. We are not that VA. Some of you may recall the Phoenix Access to Care scandal in 2014. We are not that VA. And I'm not telling you that as the director. I'm telling you that because while I flew aircraft in the Army for 17 years, the other half of my career I ran hospitals in the U.S. Army. So I've seen what right looks like. And I can tell you that the care you'll get in the VA is some of the best care in America. Are we perfect? No. But do we ever stop trying to be perfect? We will always try and perfect health care for our veterans because you deserve no less. So whether it's our suicide prevention program, our whole health initiative, or outreach through the PACT Act, which helped us enroll 750 new veterans just this year, our mission's unwavering. We will meet veterans where they are and ensure none are left behind. Case in point, some of VA's finest are here, our enrollment clerks in the back. Justin, raise your hand there. We've enrolled just today, 5, 6, 8 veterans are enrolled from this event to the Providence VA healthcare system. So if you're a veteran and you're not enrolled in VA healthcare, you are making a mistake. I can tell you, I've been on both sides of the fence. VA healthcare is second to none. So if you're not enrolled, do yourself a favor, go see the folks in the back, enrollments, and get yourself enrolled to VA healthcare. So again, on this Veterans Day, I ask each of us to reflect not only on the service given, but on the services we continue to give. To our veterans, your courage inspires our purpose. You're the reasons we exist. To our staff at the Providence VA, the dedication ensures that every veteran receives the care they earned. And you will see, when you go to the Providence VA, there's something secret in the sauce there. You will see a staff that is really dedicated to taking care of you. And here's my pledge to all of you in this audience. If you don't like the care you get at the Providence VA Medical Center, come see me, and I'll see if I can make it right. That's my pledge to you. So together we carry forward the promise of a nation that never forgets its heroes, our veterans. I want to thank all the veterans in the audience for your service. Thank you for standing with us in strength and gratitude. Before I leave the stage, I have a presentation for Dr. Harris, if you'd come on up. Now, this presentation, I think, is pretty cool, and I'll tell you why. We're a nation of about 350, 360 million people. That's a lot of folks. But in the House of Representatives, we only have 435 congressmen. In the Senate, there's only 100 senators. But to narrow that down even more, there's only 15 cabinet secretaries in the entire U.S. government. And I am going to present Dr. Harris a certificate from our Secretary of the VA, one of 15 cabinet secretaries, for all your efforts in supporting this program.
Thank you, Director Connell. Would Professor Robin Worthington please join us on the stage if you are present? And can I have Cristobal and Osmond on stage as well? Just pick it up. You can start unfolding it. We would like to take a moment to honor the memory of Army veteran Andrew J. Reed, Jr., who served with distinction as a private first class in the Philippines during World War II. His service represents the courage and commitment of a generation that answered the call in one of the history's most defining moments. PFC Reed's connection to Bristol lives through his daughter, Professor Robin Worthington, a dedicated educator and respected member of our college community. Professor Worthington reached out to the Veterans Center with a heartfelt request to refold her father's burial flag in the presence of fellow veterans. We feel privileged to honor that request today. At the moment, well, we're all done eating, but let's put down our meals and have our SVA chapter president, Osmond Clark, and Bristol alum, Crystal Escobar, refold PFC Reed's flag. Thank you, Professor Worthington. Would you mind indicating PFC Reed, your father?
Stand in this direction, the furthest on the right.
Furthest on the right. Thank you all. Thank you, Professor Worthington. Ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply grateful for you choosing to spend your Veterans Day with us. Each of you has a story to tell. You have a place in our collective American history and our community. Tell your story. I hope you connect with old friends and made new ones today. Let Veterans Day continue all year long. I will remind you that Fall River Veterans Day Parade begins at 1 p.m. today at Kennedy Park and ends around 2 in the Fall River City Hall. I would also like to share Bristol's men and women's basketball games are playing tonight in the Taunton Center at 7:30. All are welcome to cheer our home team. Finally, I would like to thank everyone whose support made event today possible. Joyce Brennan, Ken Spurlett, I couldn't have done any of this without you, so I appreciate you. Today's speaker, Justin, Dan, thank you for your words. Representative Sylvia, thank you for your continued support for the Veterans Center and Bristol Community College and the citizens of Massachusetts. Director O'Connell, thank you for your support at the VA Healthcare in Providence. Thank you to the Color Guard from the 1st Military District, the Sons of Veterans Reserves. Thank you to Professor Bjornson for your support putting this event together. Sandra Dennis from the Fall River Community Arts Network, the Fall River Garden Club for the amazing centerpieces on your tables today. Thank you. Thank you to the Epicurean Feast team that supplied today's meal. Thank you to the Phi Theta Kappa chapter for volunteering today on your day off. And I also would like to recognize Brigadier General Acey for her volunteer effort to come here and be present today. Thank you for showing. This concludes the program for today. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed yourselves, made friends, made connections, and I look forward to seeing you at Veterans Day next year.